Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spilling the Tea on GovCon. I am Teresa Moon, Director of Business Development for Parabolis. We provide a better financial partner for government contractors by government contractors. The purpose of this program is to assist small businesses with success and growth in the federal marketplace by providing them with quality information and access to industry experts and opportunities. Today's topic is engaging the gauge report. And our special guest here to talk about that is Jeff Shapiro, partner at Cohn-Reznick. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
Good day.
Yeah. I mean, you're another one of my wonderful partners and resources that I have now, thanks to my go-to guy, Guy Timberlake. And, you know, you and I kind of circulate the Guy Timberlake circuit together. And we've gotten to know each other a bit. And I hope a lot more along the way, become great friends like I know that we will. I think a lot of what we share in common is not only that we work within government contracting and we are passionate about helping small businesses, but we moonlight as our kids' chauffeurs and sports fanatics, right?
Absolutely. Key part of the job.
That's right. And Jeff, I know that you coach your son's baseball team, and I'm sure that's not the only activity that your kids have you involved in. So I think that's awesome that you had time to come this morning and be on this with me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
If you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit more about yourself and about Cohn-Reznick.
Sure. Yeah. So Cohn-Reznick, we're a top 15, depending on the day, a national accounting firm. And, you know, we have a very significant government contracting practice, of which I'm one of 4 partners. I've been with the firm for over 6 years now, after spending a number of years working in government and also within industry. So I provide a full perspective of how the government acquisition cycle works.
That's awesome. And, you know, you guys are leading the charge in providing information for government contractors that they can utilize to better be prepared each year with all of their resources and how they're allocating their funds across the board. And I was first introduced to it at a conference last year, to the gauge report, and was immediately impressed with the amount of information that's applicable to working and operations within a functioning government contract. And so I'd love for you to talk first, though, about yourself and your particular specialization, and then we'll dive into that great report. So, every CPA that I've ever talked to has a certain passion within their specialization. And so talk a little bit about that and what you do in particular for Cohn-Reznick.
Absolutely. Like I said, I spent 8.5 years within the government, and I can see how challenging it can be for companies to do business with the government. And, when I was an auditor and as a core within the government, I always wanted to make things easier. It's all about the mission for the various agencies that these government contractors work for. All these agencies know they can't accomplish their mission without their government contracting partner. So here I am now at Cohn-Reznick. I actually sit on 2 different sides of the fence, so to speak. I am a government contractor myself. We do significant amount of government contract audit work, stuff that the Defense Contract Audit Agency does, but we do it for several different civilian agencies. So I do all those audits that DCA does. So having that knowledge, I'm also able to help our commercial clients. What do you do when DCA comes out? Are you ready to get audited? Is your accounting system have the policies and procedures necessary to pass a DCA audit? Are you being a good custodian of government funds? And so I can provide that full perspective of what do you need to do in order to succeed, in order to grow, in order to gain the ear of the government purchasing community so that you can succeed. So it's not just about compliance for me. It's also about practical solutions. I mean, DCA loves to say, hey, you're supposed to be doing it this way, and why aren't you doing it this way? Oh, if you don't do it our way, you're doing it wrong. And I'm the first one to say, no. It's your business. You do it your way. You just need to show how you're meeting the various criteria, meaning the FAR clause, the contract clause, or something else that references how your business is supposed to work in terms of handling those government funds. That's what we're here to do, and make sure companies are able to do things practically while being compliant.
That is so valuable. I tell my clients and my network all the time that the key to when you're interviewing your partners, we call them external employees, right? You've got your internal employees that work directly for you, and then the external employees that are your service providers that are providing you, the backing and the resources that you need in order to do so you can comfortably do what you do best, right? And your insight, the way that you've just said, is so valuable because it's important for your partners and your service providers to have knowledge of the government contracting industry. Because to your point, it's different. The commercial market functions differently than government contracting does. And if your partner understands that, then they can stand next to you in the good and bad times instead of just being fair weather partners. Because to your point as well, the audit is going to come through knowing the ins and outs of what DCAA is going to be looking for is going to help proactively get those businesses prepared for not if, but when, because we all know that it's only a matter of time before, everyone's bill comes to pay. And so that's amazing that you have that insight because of your experience. So that's awesome. And that's something I didn't know about you. So that's good to know as well. More reason for when I'm referring you to my network, that I can use that to encourage them even more so to utilize you. So that's awesome. So given that, and you being the forefront on that side of things for Cohn-Reznick, how else does your firm differentiate from other CPA firms in approach and services provided for government contractors?
Yeah, so we represent government contractors of all different flavors, whether you're working in manufacturing, you're a non-for-profit, you do IT services, construction, you name it. So I have partners who specialize in each of those industries. So understanding the actual business, the commercial business of working in those industries, and then you top it off by folks like myself and members on my team who really understand the government contracting side of it. There's a true synergistic relationship that we have, and how we all work together to help our clients who work in those various different industries to succeed, both being a great construction company while also being compliant with all the government regulations when you're working on a federal contract. So having that full scale synergistic relationship is really helpful. We also have folks who specialize in cyber. We do outsourced accounting, taxes, obviously, you name it. So where the resources are necessary for a government contractor to help expand, whether it's from a compliance or overall growth perspective, you're installing in a new ERP system. We're the type of partner that you can work with to figure out what best fits your business.
Oh, that's awesome. And you mentioned cyber. Lord knows that that's the forefront of everyone's mind these days.
Not going away anytime soon.
No, it certainly isn't. And that's a good business to be in. And the fact that you have people within the firm that recognize the importance of that and can speak to that industry is so valuable too. Good. Making notes here, Jeff, making notes about what
I'll put in the quick plug that we're going to be one of the first, 20 firms that have the CPAO accreditation. We're about to get it within the next month or so. So
that's awesome.
It's exciting times for us.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is not just for DoD contractors, because as we all know, I was at an event and the chief procurement officer from Department of State was there, and he was talking about cyber. And I didn't want to intrude too much in the conversation because it wasn't really where it was supposed to be going. But of course, inevitably, when you're talking to a leader of an agency, people want to know what they're going to do in terms of cyber. And it's going to be across the board. They're all going to have to adopt similar practices, which would be smart if they did something in a unified fashion and everyone adopted CMMC the way that they're going to finally roll it out. But
I've seen non-DoD procurements reference the CMMC requirements and some of those GWACs that are out there. It's been advertised. So whether it's used as a benchmark or as a true regulation, the government's going to be using that along with the relevant NIST requirements as well. And, for now, the FAR requirements are relatively high level. I could see more rulemaking in that area as well.
Yeah. I mean, it like you said, it's not going away. It's actually, I think they've put it on the fast track to coming out even quicker, which is amazing to me because there was so much stops and starts but that's the way the government works, right? It's like, hurry up and wait. That's what I always tell everyone. That's the mantra you got to have in the back of your mind.
Yeah. My quick advice for that is for those around cyber issues, be ready. Just think about just the Washington Post test and that realm. Do you want to be that contractor who was breached and you gave out PII of service members or other, civilian employees of an agency? Like, not good.
No, And you can't just say, like my kids always do, I didn't know.
Oh yeah, my bad.
I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah. That's great. Well, let's talk about a little bit about why I actually have you here, right? I could go all day long about cybersecurity.
It's so easy. There's so many fun topics.
I know. But the gauge report, and this is unique to Cohn-Reznick. And I know that you have partners that work on this with you, and a lot of contractors give information to provide the data for what you guys are putting out. But this is a wonderful report that is unique to you all. And if you could just give an overview of what the gauge report is used for and how it came, how did it come about?
Yeah, so we've been now doing the gauge report since 2017. So this will be our 6th iteration. It's an annual benchmarking survey of the government contracting industry. For a number of years, there have been other benchmarking surveys out there that are hyper focused on maybe on benefits or on accounting. There just wasn't anything that had a really wide umbrella of the issues that government contractors face. So our gauge survey talks about not just about the quantitative issues, like, where are your wrap rates? How fast do you collect cash? Percentage of business done with certain agencies. Yeah, there's a lot of that, and that's really important benchmarking to do. But there's a lot of qualitative type data. Like, what are you worried about? So you're always, concerned about like what is worrying about you and your business, but you're also like looking around and be like, am I the only one that's thinking about this, or
right.
There are a lot of others? So the gauge report, we have the letters GAUGE all stand for 5 different things. I got to look because I was worried about forgetting them. The first one, G, is the GovCon compliance. Then we talk about accounting. We talk about utilization, growth, and efficiencies. So this is a wide-ranging report that covers those 5 areas. So you'll know, what are your competitors facing in terms of DCA audits? Are you the only one getting picked on for incurred cost audits? No, trust me, you're going to see how many other respondents are getting bugged by them. So typically we get over 1,000 people responding to this report, which is an incredible turnout. And it's of all businesses of all shapes and sizes. We've been breaking down respondents by revenue size. So we stratify the population, knowing that those government contractors who have only annual revenues about $15 million may not have the same concerns of those who are making over $250 million. So you can see the results by those stratifications. And, there's only so much that we can put into this bound report. And by the way, if you sign up and get it done, you're going to have early access to this data. It's really important for you to be able to see what are your competitors doing? What are they worried about? How are their wrap rates looking? I mean, I don't think there's any other resource where you can survey to say, wow, what is everyone else's fringe rate doing these days, especially now in this age of great resignation. And now let me, segue a little bit to this. So this annual survey report is not just about survey results. We also give you some great reference data that you can keep it on the shelf and it'll still be good years later. We give tips and tricks about a specialized area every year. We've done it on budgeting. We've done a cybersecurity year. We've done how to write better proposals. This year, we're really going to focus on benefits and compensation. Look at the Great Resignation. It's going to be a huge topic that we're going to talk a lot about. And I'm sure that's going to be a huge concern, along with those, inflation and supply chain concerns.
Yeah, just a little bit with inflation, right?
Just tiny
Speaking
bit,
of insurance benefits and bringing on new people. I mean, it's amazing that given the times that we're in, that we have something like the Great Resignation. I think it's almost dumbfounding. I don't know what people are doing these days. Everything's costing more and people are moving out, but it is the competitive way of finding better options for themselves. It's a little bit like a evil genius, right? How am I going to get someone to pay me more and give me more benefits? I'm going to quit. Like, I don't know how.
Huge problem. Huge problem.
Yeah. I mean, and the trend that you guys have tracked through the gauge report is really interesting. And I'm excited to see what comes out of that with what you guys did with the data collection on that, because it's something that we haven't experienced, right? I mean, we've had how many recessions, but resignations is a new one for me, especially during a pandemic when people were getting laid off anyway. And instead of getting back to work as fast as they could, they were trying to hop to the next best thing. I mean, more power to you if you can make it happen. I've had a few people who I've talked to have actually pulled it off.
Right.
But I think it's setting an incredible precedent to the process itself. And, with everything else, the balloon will pop eventually. So we'll see how they fare in the long run on that.
The pendulum always swings. So right now, no doubt about it, the employees have the power over the employers. I don't know about you, but I don't know if you've heard the story now with this pandemic environment and the hybrid work environment. There are people working 2 full-time jobs at the same time. It's a little scary right now. So how are you engaging your employees? No pun intended to our title, but like, how are you keeping them interested and making sure that you're getting their full productivity? I mean, that is definitely an emerging issue here. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out in terms of what does the workplace look like for the longer term.
Especially from a work from home perspective too, right? You can't monitor it like they did before. I know I have a friend who works for a large enterprise organization, and they have daily webinar Zoom meetings, so that basically you're checking in, so they know that you're not just out shopping around, because they've got a time clock, but you're working from home. It's hard to monitor if you're punching in that clock honestly or not, right? And so they can still micromanage you, even you from working from home, which is amazing. But I mean, I think from a productivity standpoint, so like
right? Zoom started at the start of this pandemic. Now you need like employee nanny cams or other related technologies, keystroke monitoring. That all exists. Just like how, I don't know, my kids aren't quite there yet, but the cell phone monitoring technology, making sure they're doing the right thing, not being in the right place. That's sort of could be happening to some in some of these companies.
I'm sure it is, right? How often do you check Facebook on your company phone? Are you posting on Insta while you're supposed to be working?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, interesting where this selfie took and the timestamp.
Right, exactly.
Weren't you supposed to be at a client meeting?
Yeah, I was. Oops. They were in that, that's their hairline over there that you see in the background. That's awesome.
Love it.
Okay, so tell us how people listening can engage. I know you're doing data collection right now. How can they
we're
engage?
On the tail end. Teresa, I appreciate you bringing me on, because we are closing this thing for real.
Cool.
We're close to 1,000 again, and we want to break that 1,000 mark. So please, everyone listening, if you haven't taken the survey, jump on the link and take the survey. It shouldn't take you more than 20 or 30 minutes. Answer to the best of your abilities. There's no such thing as a wrong answer. I mean, you feel one way today. I mean, you may not have felt it last week. That's fine.
Right.
And getting all the data that you need about your company, collect it, and may take a little bit of time, but it shouldn't be difficult. So please participate. It's going to be a great benchmark for your company and others. It's helping each other out. I mean, I was just talking to Teresa before we started recording. This is a really large pool, right? We all swim in terms of this government contracting, how many dollars are available for us all. So help each other out. I mean, we're seeing lots of common pain points. Well, let's do something about it, and change the rules. If you're really worried about CMMC and being too overly strict, whatever it may be, well, there's a reason why the government opens comment periods and wants that industry interaction. So this is going to help you determine, like, if you're having high worries, this is one place you can do this, and then you can pick up the report and say, look, we're all worried about this. Let's do something. So, anyways, please participate.
Well, we've got the link down below, so hopefully people are taking notes, and we'll make sure that it goes out when we put this out for everyone to see.
Much appreciated.
I think to your point, I think it's great for the sense of not only having the finger on the pulse of what everyone around you is worried about, but also seeing where the competition is throwing their money, what they're throwing their money behind, and the interaction with the government. The government takes a long time to change anything, right? We see that, but if there's enough push from industry, government would not be able to get their job done without what industry is providing. So they do have a good impact on sharing a unified voice. And if that voice is on one particular subject that needs to be addressed across the board, they're going to listen. It's kind of the way everything works in our country. The majority rules, and if everyone, that's why collection of data like this is important, because then you can see and people can make decisions based off of quality information, which is, what this program is all about, is giving them access to information that helps them do what they do best better. And 100%. And if it can help across the board with operations and pricing and all of the different things that the Gauge report helps address, then more power to you. And we're glad that you were here.
Hey, Couldn't say any better, Teresa. Wow, you're taking better words out of my mouth.
Oh, well,
thank you.
thank you.
I'll have you, help advertise this thing for me. Thank you.
I'm available anytime. I like to talk, period. So I always say, give me enough information to make me dangerous, and I'll tell everyone I know.
You do a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. So speaking of, you do a great job of getting in front of people and talking about what you do best. Where are you going to be in the upcoming months that people can find you, and where can we, pun intended, engage best with you?
Thanks for that. So I feel like a comedian, a touring comedian, telling you where my next appearances. And it's funny, I actually have them. So next week I'll be out in San Diego playing the Government Contract Pricing Summit. I'll be a featured breakout speaker there, talking about what happens behind the scenes in the cost evaluation team. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm going to take a very similar topic, and maybe not on accident, over to the National Contract Management Agency's World Congress out in Chicago in July. Again, talking similar topic, talking about how proposal audits can assist the cost evaluation team. So those are my next two scheduled appearances. But you can always find me on LinkedIn. We're going to show the link there. Oh my gosh, you have a great producer. And I'm always trying to put out latest news of what's going on in the GovCon industry. We at Cohn-Reznick, we put on at least monthly webinars on a variety of different topics. Coming up, we're going to talk about infrastructure and all the opportunities that are coming out from the bills that were issued and on infrastructure, and how you can take advantage of that. And we're going to have lots of other topics talked about, everything from taxes to what now with PPP funds, to what now on Service Contract Act. There's so many different topics that we'd like to talk about. And if you go to our GovCon 360 website, search Cohn-Reznick and GovCon 360, you'll find a whole bunch of free resources for government contractors. If you're a small business just breaking in, or even you're an established business, there's a lot of great resource tools, a lot of recordings of our past webinars, a lot of blogs talking about current topics, unallowable costs, how to be a commercial business and balance that with being a government contractor, and how to keep the two separated so that the government's not going to get too much into your private business. So lots of great information there. So you can find me, reach out to me. You got a lot of random questions. I love hearing from anyone and everyone. I really love helping out small businesses succeed in this market. It's challenging enough as it is.
That's so true. And I appreciate you lending yourself to our listenership. And,
of course,
we're going to close out and give you the last bit. Any tips, best practices, words of advice that you can share with our listeners?
So small businesses, listen, the federal government seems like this huge machine, but guess what? It's run by people. And despite all the rules and regulations that exist, it's still a person business. So if you're just a commercial business looking to get in federal government, it's sort of not any different, that you still need to make connections. So get out there. There's lots of different opportunities, whether it's the various small business offices within the agencies themselves. They're the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, PTACs, that the SBA runs, and which apparently are moving under DOD, by the way. And so many different resources to get out there, talk to people. These prime contractors have small business contracting goals. Get to meet them. There's a lot of different communities you can get involved with and talk to. I mean, it's one thing to trawl is the right word. Not troll. That's a whole different trawl. Actually, collect the data of opportunities on sam.gov these days, and that's great. And you can propose on all those things left and right. But ultimately, if you don't have a relationship, it's going to be really hard to make that impression without having that personal connection. So get out there, shake some hands, get involved in some webinars. And now it's so much easier now that agencies are embracing the virtual environment. So you don't necessarily have to shake the hands, but as long as you can get in front of folks and get your name known, that is only going to help you. So not alone.
You have to, right?
Yeah, you have to get out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think being a human being and interacting on a human level puts your proficiencies to the top of the pile, because that's how people recognize you and remember you. And so I encourage the same. A lot of these agencies and individuals working for those agencies are on LinkedIn. Connect with them there and get a start. And I think a lot of people just don't recognize that they're allowed to do things like that. And now you know. So now that I told you, you can't say, like my kids, well, I didn't know, my bad. You know now.
Yes.
So go and reach out. If you want to work
Yes.
with, DHS, go reach out to them on LinkedIn and find out where they're going to be so you can meet them in person.
Yeah, it's a big challenge for contracting officers. They've been told so much historically, like, oh, be careful what you say. You don't want to give unfair advantages. But now I think they're finally getting used to, like, let's have this real-time discussions.
Yep.
And figure out how can we acquire this better, faster, more efficiently, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It can't be done without that interaction. And now with those kinds of informal and formal platforms, whether it's GSA Interact or whether it's LinkedIn,
right.
There's so many different ways for you to get involved and to influence in an appropriate way the acquisition process.
Right. Or you can always come to one of my events that I help host at the Tower Club in Tyson's with our friend Go-To Guy and the Government Contracting
Great
Club.
place to go.
We do a great job of getting you in front of opportunities. So if you're not already, I suggest you start following us on all of those events, because Lord knows we have enough of them every month. I only live part-time in my hometown of Orlando, and then I'm part-time in the DMV. So I'm starting to frequent it as well for the very same reason that I invite everyone to come. So listen, I very much appreciate you being here. It's not going to be the last time, because we're going to have a gauge report coming out that you're going to need to come in and talk about.
Absolutely.
And we definitely want to, learn more along the way of what Cohn-Reznick is doing to break some ground on new ideas for people. I think you guys are doing a great job, and I appreciate you being here again. And I thank you all for listening and joining us today. I'm Teresa Moon, Director of Business Development for Parabolis. This is Spilling the Tea on GovCon, and be sure to follow us because we've got some great programs coming up this summer, so you don't want to miss out. Thank you. Appreciate you being here, Jeff.
Thank you.